fans of the Money Manziel MMA channel, you can now rejoice. We've got a double upload. It's a beautiful day. All 209 of you. Um, Listen, we are here for the Money Manziel MMA criteria. Just because a pay per view is announced doesn't mean I'm not going to post about, the fight card that's coming up this week. So we got a lot to discuss. We got the Money Manziel criteria. You all know how this goes. Listen, you know, fuck. Hold on, edit that out. In terms of the criteria, autism, aura slash TikTok editability, IQ, and plot armor. If you've been here before, you understand what this means. We do not base these predictions off of skill. We are trying to show how dumb predicting the UFC is because I guarantee you most of these do better than the actual predictions. If you want evidence of that, last week we did this. And guess what? The only incorrect pick was Ricardo Ramos over Con Offley, and that's literally because I'd never seen Con Offley fight. Had I seen Con Offley fight, I probably would have picked him to beat Ramos, and honestly, I should have picked him anyways. So it is what it is. Now that you see this criteria and it's ingrained into your brain, you can understand how we're going to be making these predictions. Main card, let's get right into it. Rainier DeRitter and Brendan Allen. Interesting matchup here. I was just kind of going back and forth in the comment section about DeRitter. I will say now, by the way, that I do think he would be the bad matchup for Hamzat. If you went and watched my Nightmare Matchups video, which a lot of you have, so thank you, you'd see that I said that Hamzat doesn't have a Nightmare matchup at 85, and he'd have to go to 205 to find anybody, and I don't know if you'll find it there. But Rainier DeRitter is a serious bottom guard and a very good one at that, which I think would kind of hurt a guy like Hamza and make him have to stand, and it would be interesting there. But either way, Rainier DeRitter is fighting Brendan Allen. This is a bit why I say that. This is a big step towards fighting Hamza. If Rainier DeRitter beats Brendan Allen, in my opinion, if the UFC wants a title fight that people are going to get excited about, you have to make DeRitter versus Hamza. Imavov versus what am I even talking about? Imavov versus Hamza does not move me. I don't think it moves the fan base that much. In the same way where, like, at least Piotr Jan is a fan favorite, even if we know that Marab is probably going to 49-46 him. He's a fan favorite. We can root for him to get in there. I don't really walk around knowing that many Nasruddin Imavov fans. I'll be honest with you. He's a really cool striker to watch. If anyone's learning kickboxing, they want to learn boxing in general, watch Nasruddin Imavov. He has incredible setups and traps, and his feints work really well with his combinations. And solid wrestling as well. But I'm not moved by that fight. Like, I want Rainier DeRitter to get in there for a title fight. I wish it was fluffy, but we're getting Brendan Allen. With all of this being said, listen, there is no man more perfect for the Money Manziel MMA criteria than Rainier DeRitter. Incredibly goofy. I would call his style as goofy or goofier than DDP. This guy legitimately fights like someone who shouldn't be in the UFC, and yet he has a win over Robert Whitaker. Now, the same issue that DDP had, is going to be the DeRitter thing here. Because, like, DDP, when he beat Whitaker, I think some people chalked it up to literally just, oh, that's such a Robert Whitaker type of loss, you know? Whereas, like, with RDR, okay, is he just a Whitaker type of loss, or is he going to do the same as DDP and prove that he's just kind of goofy, but it works, you know? So we're kind of waiting to see. I can't even give a logical breakdown. I tried to break down Whitaker versus DeRitter and was like, oh, well, the way that Whitaker throws this high kick is going to be dangerous for DeRitter. None of that shit matters, bro. Like, he got dropped on his ass and still ended up winning. I have no clue how to predict these fights anymore when it comes to this guy in DDP, so I'm just going to say that he's going to win, and I'm just going to be laughing when it happens. However he wins will be the funniest way imaginable. We just have to accept that as truth. In the meantime, we'll just sit back and witness greatness. Kevin Holland and Mike Malott is the co-main event. A interesting matchup, honestly a step up for Kevin Holland after getting dropped twice and losing to Daniel Rodriguez. Not a good loss, in my opinion, at welterweight, especially with a guy in Holland who I think is better than that. Daniel Rodriguez was a massive underdog. And for good reason. He is not as good as Kevin Holland anywhere. It was shocking to see, but it was a Kevin Holland type of loss. Listen, you have to understand with Kevin Holland, you have to kind of figure out when he's going to have a Kevin Holland esque win. There are these types of guys that just, it's like the NFL's different, right? You can pick a team to win on any given week. You know that their guys are better than those guys, and they're going to win, right? With the UFC, there are just some guys who it's just the way they fight. Like Jake Matthews. I predicted Neil Magny to beat Jake Matthews on Tuesday and Thursday of the predictions that I give. Why? Because Jake Matthews does that. He will win fights and then randomly lose to someone way worse than him. With Kevin Holland, now that he's lost to D-Rod, 100% he's going to finish Mike Malott. No doubt in my mind is Kevin Holland going to finish Mike Malott. For no reason at all. He's probably going to get dropped. Probably going to throw up like an armbar and submit him somehow. Same way he beat Mikhail Oluwachechuk. That was his closest to a Kevin Holland-esque loss. But he was able to kind of salvage it with good BJJ off his back. He's due for that type of win now. He was coming off 2 wins. I thought the Luque win would age well, but I mean it did not. So we're gonna fade the Vicente Luque stuff. And then Gunnar Nelson, also not a great win at this point in his career. It was a very close fight. Either way, I think it's the type of fight where Kevin Holland looks like a world beater, and then he goes and loses to a random 100. He loses to like Court McGee after this or some shit. You know what I mean? Like, just a fascinating individual in the way that he fights and the way that he wins and loses. Again, another fight where I just cannot accurately predict what's going to happen. I'm just going to assume Kevin Holland is going to win in some spectacular fashion and then lose to a random 170-pounder in 2 weeks from now. So, shout out to Kevin Holland. Chito Vera and Ayman Zahabi. Listen, I can already feel my blood boiling with this one. I don't know if you guys are aware of the lore of this channel, but Jose Aldo is on the banner of the channel. Why? I love Jose Aldo. Well, I remember UFC 265. My first ever card review was UFC 246. Yes, I'm a casual. I've watched every card since then. For if it means anything, to you guys, I've watched every single card since UFC 246. I do know the sport. I do kind of know what I'm talking about. Just not prior to that. I was one off of Usman Covington. Really sucks that that's the case. But when I witnessed what Ayman Zahabi did to Jose Aldo in Montreal, Canada, I made a pact and an agreement with myself to never allow something like that to happen to me again. To witness the robbery that took place in that fight, I remember, legitimately, and this is a true story, by the way, my girlfriend texted me. She was like, hey, like, do you want to go out later? Do you want to like, we could go out, like, drive around, whatever, I could come over, type of thing. You get the, like, you up type of text. I legitimately texted her no, and then turned off my phone when Ayman Zahabi robbed Jose Aldo. That is a real story. I just texted no and went back to fucking crying in my room. That was the I wasn't actually crying. Don't come after me for that. That was the saddest I've ever been. I'm picking Marlon Vera. 10 million. I don't have $10 million. 10 hypothetical $1 million for Chito Vera to knock Ayman Zahabi out cold, separated from consciousness on the canvas. That is what I want from Marlon Vera. I know he's not going to do it. I know he's not going to throw a strike of meaning until the final minute of the 3rd round. That's how he fights. He might fluke him. I hope he does. Again, man, listen. If Ayman Zahabi can do what he did to Jose Aldo and get away with robbery and be allowed to leave Canada, and I don't know if he did. He probably didn't leave Canada, the fucking traitor. But if he's allowed to get away with robbery like that over Jose Aldo, then I think a bounty should be put on this guy's head to get KO'd. MMA Guru, go put 10,000 on his head instead of Mario Bautista. It is what it is. Marlon Vera, save us, please. Marlon Vera, save us if you can hear us, Marlon Vera. I have no clue. Again, bro, the 3 fights here, I have zero clue how any of these guys are going to win. Marlon Vera is the flukiest fighter in history, was losing to Dominic Cruz before he caught him with that like incredibly timed high kick. When Dominic Cruz was shifting out of the way to his right, was losing to Frankie Edgar in their fight until he fluked him with an up kick with a minute left. Somehow, I mean, he lost the fight to Sandhagen, but got a split decision out of it, which is insane. He was decently competitive with Figgy, he just didn't throw enough strikes like every Cheeto fight. And then nearly fluked Sean O'Malley at the horn in their fight, which, typical Cheeto stuff. He's a fluke artist. It is what it is. Rob Font, by the way, he was losing every round until he would knock him down with something in the final 20 seconds. Literally a master of fluking people. Shout out to Cheeto. I don't know, man. Just fucking shout out to him. Let's move on. Manon Fior and Jasmine Jasudavicius. Listen, man. When it comes to this type of fight, right? Manon Fior's coming off the loss to Shevchenko, very close fight, very competitive. Um, and then you have Jasmine Jasudavicius coming off submitting Jessica Andrade in round one. I had money on that. Shout out. Um, it's kind of tough for me to give like a funny prediction because there's nothing like funny or like memey. I hate that I just said that word. About these two fighters. Um, Boring people. Jasudavicius is 36. I forgot to say that about Zabi. 37-year-old prospect to get out of my sport forever. Um, we got a 36 and 30 Jesus. 36 and 35-year-old contenders here. These are the top contenders at 125. And they're pushing 40 years old. Unbelievable stuff. In terms of who's winning the fight, fucking Menon Fior. I definitely care about this fight. We all are going to be tuned for just a real technical masterclass here of Menon Fior, like, grunting and throwing teeps to the body, and leg kicks. Shout out to her. Probably a 29-28 split decision. I don't think Jasudavicius can grapple with her anyways, but, for the sake of being funny, fucking sure. 29-28 decision. We're not going to be shocked. Everyone says it as a joke, but it's legitimately how all these fights go. I don't know, man. It's a weird world we live in. Cody Gibson, this pisses me off so much. I'm sorry. Cody Gibson and Arichi Lane, dude. This shit. Why? Why is this the fight on the main card? I don't even give a fuck about their losses and wins. I'm picking Cody Gibson. Why is this the fight? There's Charles Jourdain and Drew Dober on the prelims. Jourdain has a good fight. It's completely. I I have no clue who Charles Jourdain's fighting. I'd have to look at it again. But Drew Dober's on the card. He's probably gonna get a finish. You got Jourdain who gets a lot of finishes. Why are we seeing 38-year-old Cody Gibson? His only wins are Brian Kelleher, and I don't even remember who his other win is. It was someone who was dog shit. Um, Cody Gibson's terrible. He's gonna win because he can grapple a little bit, and Arichi Lane kind of fights like an idiot. He had Raul Rosas in actual serious trouble when they were fighting, and then kind of decided to just get held on the ground for the rest of the fight. Interesting strategy by him. No effort to get back to his feet. Um, I think Gibson's gonna like fluke a guillotine or like take him down and get enough top control time to win the fight. I don't really care about this. I might not even watch it, to be honest with you. I'll probably put $1 million on it, betting for no reason, but that's the way of the world. So we'll kind of go with it. Shout out to Cody Gibson, Norichi Lane. I'm sure they're good dudes, but God, I don't understand the placement of this fight. Final fight on the main card. This is a fight I'm okay with, being on the main card, but I would have liked one of the Jourdain or Dober fights in the other spot. Kyle Nelson and Matt Fervola. Kyle Nelson is coming off a KO loss to Steve Garcia. Matt Fervola's had a tough run, bro. Gets KO'd by Benoit Saint-Denis in like 2 minutes at Madison Square Garden in his home state. Takes basically a year off, comes back in September, and then gets KO'd versus Farasiam after mounting literally zero offense against him for an entire fight. These guys are both on kind of weird runs. I'm going to go for Vola here. Listen, you need an American to get on the mic and just like shit on the people of Canada. We need that. I think it's going to happen. I want to say that these are two of the scariest looking individuals I've ever seen. Matt Fervola looks like a guy where if you're walking around Walmart and this guy comes up to you and he's like, "Yo, like, do you know where the fucking tortillas are?" Like, you might run away. You might run away. You might slap him, and then he's gonna put you out cold with the right hand. Or you might actually tell him where the tortillas are because you fuck with gingers. It is what it is. In terms of Kyle Nelson, that dude is terrifying to look at. Let's take a look at Kyle Nelson again. That is a scary individual. If Kyle Nelson was chiefing a cigarette outside of your local 7-Eleven, you wouldn't even think about entering the establishment. You'd be like, Mom, Dad, we need to move area codes. There's a creepy looking, like, skinny Santa type of guy. Like, he looks like Santa. I don't know why. I'm just saying shit. There is a car's just driven past me with a skeleton in their passenger seat. I'm getting sidetracked here. We're going for Vola to win via fucking American promo. He'll probably KO him. Ladies and gentlemen, that'll do it for the video today. We got two 16-minute uploads. Feeling great about that. It's a beautiful day on the channel. No clue what's coming out tomorrow, if anything. I will say if the momentum's good, then we'll keep the momentum rolling, and I'll think of fucking something. So, listen, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, like, comment, and subscribe down below. My TikTok is at MoneyManzelMMA. You know that already. You know I post a short every day. Why am I even telling you? Just go like, comment, and subscribe, man. We are at 209 subs. You know, let's just keep it rolling, man. It's been really fun so far. So, listen, boys, I will see you in the next one. I have no clue what it'll be. You guys have no clue what it'll be. Yeah, let's go have a day, boys. I'll see you next time. Peace.